Hello everyone, so this is the Sony A6400 camera, mirrorless, and what I'm going to be doing is showing you guys a quick start guide of the basic picture and video settings, and we're going to go into the menu, check some settings in there, and show you guys how to use those features. So let's get to it. So I'm going to show you guys this wheel here on the top. I'm going to select the options that I usually use for pictures and video. So for pictures, I use this A, which is aperture priority, and I will get into the settings and show you guys what I'd set in that particular mode. Then we have shutter priority, which I will use sometimes if I'm using the camera to take some motion blur photography. And then for the video icon, this is the video icon or the video mode, and I'll get into the settings of these as well. So let's first get into aperture priority, and the reason why I use this for photos is this allows me to select the aperture settings, and since the lens that I'm using goes up to 1.4 aperture, I'm able to take some great bokeh pictures, and that allows a great background blur and some really nice shots if you're taking some close-up photography of objects or people or animals. Let me show you guys some settings in the menu. So let's go ahead and turn on the camera and get into the menu. So we're just gonna slide this selector on to on, and let's get to the menu. So when you turn the camera on, this is the screen you're going to see. It's going to be showing you whatever the lens is capturing. I'm going to go into the menu, so let's go ahead and tap the menu icon or menu button, and let's get into the first page. And the way you do that is you have to scroll all the way up until the tab on top is highlighted, and then you go left or right to go through the menu. I'm only going to show you some basic settings because since this is a quick start guide. So in the aperture priority mode that we had selected for photos, the settings that I like to use are the file format. I select is JPEG. I don't need the RAW and JPEG or just the RAW, because RAW is a file that is captured with your JPEG file, and what that does is that it has more data. It's a larger file, and you can use it to modify the image in Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Lightroom with presets, and because it is a larger image, it has more information and data about the image. So this is great for professional photography. I just like to keep it at JPEG. The JPEG quality I like to select is extra fine, because I could always enlarge it, and it's just the best resolution. So that's the one I use. Let's press the button again. And the middle button is how you select the menu items. And then the wheel, you can either use the wheel to move it around like that, or you can simply go up or down by pressing the rotating wheel. Image size, I select large, and again, that is just because I like to have the highest resolution and I have more ability to modify the image. The aspect ratio I set to 3:2. However, you can select 16:9 or 1:1, which is a square. I like to keep it at 3:2. So that's my picture settings, which is the aperture priority mode. Now let's get into the movie settings. So let's move the selector to video, and we'll go into the menu and the settings for the video mode. So once you're in the video mode, you're going to go into the menu, and the first option here is exposure mode. The one that I have selected is program auto. It automatically selects all the settings for me, which is the one that I like to keep it at. However, you can select aperture priority, shutter priority, manual exposure, where you can select all the settings manually. The one that I like to keep it at is program auto, or the next one that I like to use is shutter priority, which allows me, if especially for indoor photography, when there is a light source that is causing banding in the image, if you see any kind of dark lines appearing, scrolling through, horizontal lines scrolling through the screen when you're indoors in an artificial light environment, you can select the shutter priority while in the video mode, and you can basically match the shutter speed with the light source so the banding goes away. So sometimes I use this, but most of the times I have it set to program auto. Let's go back into the menu. File format, I have it set to 4K, which is the highest resolution. Record setting, I have it set to 30 frames per second and 100 megabits size. And if you want a more cinematic feel, the Hollywood movies are actually filmed in 24 frames per second usually, but I like to keep it at the highest, which is 30 and 100 megabits. And that is it for the first page. Let's go to the second page. Everything else is set normally by default. Audio recording, I have it set to on, and then I have the audio recording level set to 5, since I usually use a lavalier mic. It's very sensitive to sound, so when I use the lavalier mic attached to my Sony A6400, I like to keep it at 5. That allows me to reduce the hissing or the static in the audio recording. Let's go back. We're going to go to the next page. Audio level display, I have it set to on. Wind noise reduction is off. Marker display is off. Movie with shutter is on, so I can use the shutter button to start recording and stop recording. Everything else is just set by default, so I don't really get into it much, but those are the basic movie settings.